of a flowering plant. That is the anatomy of a flowering plant. Okay. Okay, that is the anatomy of a flowering plant. That is the internal structure. Okay, the tissues. Okay, the different types of tissues, their arrangement and their function, and how they are formed or developed. Okay, related to that. Okay, so we see. First, we'll go with the different types of tissues. Okay, what are the different types of primarily? What are the different types of tissues that are present in the plants? And next, the tissue system. That means okay, the different types of tissues and their arrangement in the plant body. Okay, and next we'll go with the anatomy of dicotyledonous plants and anatomy of monocotyledonous plants. That means what is the okay? That means we'll compare. Okay, we'll compare the anatomical features of a dicotyledonous plant with that of a monocotyledonous plant. And next, finally, the secondary growth. Okay, primary growth. Okay, up to here we'll discuss about the primary growth, and the last one, secondary growth. That means the growth occurs in the later period of the plant body. Okay, okay. What is its importance? How it occurs, and in which plants it will occur? What is the importance of this secondary growth in the plants? Okay, that one we'll discuss. Okay, so these are the different concepts that we will cover under the topic anatomy of flowering plants. So we can see here. Okay, you can very easily see the structural similarities and variations in the external morphology of the larger living organism, both plants and animals. That means almost all the characters that are exhibited by the organisms, okay, especially the large organisms like plants and animals. Okay, we can able to understand the morphological features. Okay, for that there is no need of okay, much need of any equipment or any other. Simply by our naked eye we can see all these external characteristics. But similarly, if we were to study the internal structure, one also finds several similarities as well as differences. So in the same manner, how we are observing the differences in the morphological features of the organisms, in the same manner, when through the internal structure, okay, the internal structure also shows certain similarities. Okay, certain similarities and certain differences. And this chapter introduces you to the internal structure and the functional organization of higher plants. So in this chapter we'll discuss. Okay, we are not discussing at a lower level. Okay, we are discussing in this chapter about the similarities and differences in the internal structure of higher plants, that is angiosperms. Okay, in that monocots and dicots. So plants have cells as unit. So like other all living organisms, okay, the plants are also made up of cells. Okay, that's why for plants also, the cell is the basic structure and functional unit. Okay, basic unit. Okay, and next, cells are organized into tissues, and in turn the tissues are organized into organs. So in plants we can we'll observe the organization in the plant, okay, in the plants only up to organ level. We don't find the organ system level. Okay, we'll go, okay, in plants it ends with the organ level only. So we'll find cells, and cells are grouped, okay, and organized to form tissues. And next, the tissues are grouped and organized to form organs. Okay, at the organ. Okay, so we'll find only up to organ level of organization. Okay, and next, different organs in the plant show differences in their internal structure. So definitely it will be, because all are not having a same structure and same function. So definitely the cells or the tissues that are present in the organs are showing a different differences in their internal structure. So when you observe within angiosperms, the monocots and dicots are also seen to be anatomically different. Okay, within angiosperms, the monocots and dicots are also seen to be anatomically different. Okay, within angiosperms, the monocots and dicots are also seen to be anatomically different. Okay, and next, internal structures also show adaptations to diverse environment. Okay, so when you observe the internal structures of the plants also vary according to the environment in which they are growing. So different organisms are showing different tissues and their arrangement in, okay, according to the environment in which they are growing. So that's why we'll find different tissues with a different plants according to the environment. That means okay, in temperate regions, tropical regions, okay, and next subtropical regions, okay, aquatic plants are showing a different tissue arrangement. So that what we'll discuss here. Okay, first of all, tissues. What is a tissue? Okay, when you observe the tissue, a tissue is a group of cells. Okay, a tissue is a group of cells having a common origin and usually performing a common function. So we can say what is a tissue means. A tissue is nothing but a group of cells having a common origin and usually performing a common function. Okay, so such a group of cells we are calling it as a tissue. Okay, tissue is a group of cells which are having common origin and a similar function. And next, a plant is made up of different kinds of tissues, because all the parts of the body are not functioning similar. No, we'll find different functions carried out by different tissues that are present in the different parts of the body. Okay, different parts of the plant body. So definitely we'll find different tissues. So a plant is made up of different kinds of tissues. Okay, tissues are classified into two main groups, namely meristematic and permanent tissues, based on whether the cells being formed are capable of dividing or not. Okay, that is, the tissues are basically classified into two main groups. Okay, the plant tissues. So the plant tissues are based. divided into two main groups called as meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Okay, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Okay, the differentiation of these tissues is mainly depend upon whether they are capable of dividing or not. So the cells which will continue to divide, those tissues we are calling it as meristematic tissue. And those tissues which will lose, that means the cells in that tissue will lose their capacity to divide. Okay, so such cells are described as a permanent tissue. So whether the cells are continuing to divide or not, based on that, the tissues are divided into two groups. That is a meristematic tissue, permanent tissue. Okay, and next, meristematic tissue. Okay, meristematic tissue. Okay, growth in plants is largely restricted to. Okay, growth in plants is largely restricted to specialized regions of active cell division called meristems. Okay, growth in plants is largely restricted to specialized regions of active cell division called meristems. Okay, that means when you observe in case of plants, the growth will not occur normally throughout the length of the plant body. And we can observe the growth in plants is restricted to certain regions of the plant body. Restricted to only certain regions of the body or specialized regions of the body. The cell division only occurs in that specialized regions. And that regions we are calling, meristems. Okay, those regions we call it as a meristems. Okay, generally where these meristems are present. Okay, these meristems are usually present at the tip of the root and shoot. Okay, and based upon the position of these meristems, the meristems are of different types. Okay, plants have different kinds of meristems, and the meristems which will occur at the tip of the roots and shoots and produce primary tissues are called apical meristems. Okay, we said no. Okay, while we are discussing about the root, we come across, we'll find at the tip of the root we'll find root cap. Okay, just a few millimeters below the root cap we'll find a meristematic zone. Okay, what this meristematic zone consists of? That meristematic zone consists of meristematic tissue. Same manner, when you observe the shoot tips, it may be the main stem or the branch. At that we'll find some meristems. That means which consists of cells which are in continuous cell division. sorry. And that tissue we are calling it as apical meristem because they are present at the apex, that is at the tips, and helps in the growth of the stem. So the growth occurs only at its tips in case of plants. Okay, unlike animals. When you observe the animals, okay, during the growing period, the growth of the animal will occur uniformly throughout the length of the body. Okay, it will not occur only in the head, or it will not occur only in the hands, or only in the legs, or only in the body. Okay, the growth will be distributed uniformly throughout the length. That's why the animals are having a particular shape, because of that uniform growth occurring throughout the length of the body. But in plants, okay, that's plants do not have a particular shape. Okay, they do not have any particular shape, because the growth occurs only at its tips, and the growth occurs continuously throughout their life. From the time being it undergoes germination till it undergoes death, okay, it will be continuously growing. That's why they do not have any fixed shape, because they will grow continuously. And this growth, which is occurred throughout their life, is mainly because of the presence of this apical meristem. The meristem, which occur at the tip of the roots and shoots and produce primary tissues, are called apical meristems. Are called apical meristems. Okay, the meristems which occur at the tip of the roots and shoots and produce primary tissues are called apical meristems. Okay, and next, the root apical meristem occupies the tip of the root, while the shoot apical meristem occupies the distant most region of the stem okay, axis. Okay, we can see here. Okay, ram, that is the root apical meristem, and sam, that is a shoot apical meristem. Okay, ram, okay, that is ram and sam. Okay, that is ram means root apical meristem and sam means shoot apical meristem. Okay, which will form this apical. Okay, these are the two types of apical meristems that we observe with plants. Okay, the shoot apical meristem occupies the tip of the root, while the shoot apical meristem occupies the, okay, apex of the stem apex, stem axis. Okay, stem axis. Okay, distant most region of the stem axis. Stem axis means it may be the branch or a main stem, and you can say. Okay, that is about this apical meristem. And during the formation of leaves and elongation of the stem, some cells left behind from shoot apical meristem constitute the axillary bud. Such buds are present in the axils of the leaf and are capable of forming a branch or a flower. The meristem which occurs between the mature tissues is called intercalary meristem. So, okay, there is a meristem which is present in between the mature tissues. Okay, in between the, okay, the meristem which occurs in between the mature tissues, we are calling it as intercalary meristem. We are calling it as a intercalary meristem. Okay, the elongation of the stem. Okay, and next, the formation of the leaf at the nodes and the formation of axillary buds, which later give rise to branches. Okay, and all these are comes under the intercalary meristems, because they are occurring at the nodes. in between the mature tissues. Okay, this intercalary meristem is nothing but apical meristem only, but is while the growing. Okay, some of the cells of the apical meristem left at the nodes, and that one will be transformed into intercalary meristem, and that intercalary meristem is responsible for the formation of this leaves, axillary buds, and elongation of the stem. So that is okay. So such a meristem we are calling it as intercalary meristem, and they occur in grasses and regenerate parts removed by grazing herbivores. Okay, this intercalary meristem is responsible for the regeneration of lost parts that were eaten by the herbivorous animals in case of grasses. So that is the importance of this intercalary meristem in grassland. Okay, that is so these okay, that means the meristem which occurs in between the mature tissues. We are calling it as intercalary meristem, and this occurs usually at the nodes, which is responsible for the development of leaves, or for the formation of the leaves, or for the formation of axillary buds in the axil of the leaf, and helps in the elongation of the stem. So that is what we are calling it as. So during the formation of leaves and elongation of stem, some cells left behind from the shoot apical meristem constitute the axillary bud, and such buds are present in the axil of leaves and are capable of forming a branch or a flower. Meristem which occurs between mature tissues is known as the intercalary meristem. And this intercalary meristem is also okay, they occur in grasses and regenerate parts removed by grazing herbivores. And next, when you observe here, both apical meristem and intercalary meristems are primary meristems because they appear early in the life of the plant and contribute to the formation of primary plant body. Okay, when you observe this apical meristem and intercalary meristem, okay, these are described as primary meristems. Okay, because these meristems are present, okay, in the plant in the from the early days of its development. Okay, this meristem is developed in the early days of plant development and is responsible for the formation of primary tissues. Responsible for the formation of primary tissues. That's why this two meristem, that is apical meristem and intercalary meristems, were called as primary meristems. Okay, because they are involved in the formation of primary tissues, which makes the primary plant body. Okay, that is okay. And next, the third type of meristem. Okay, the meristem that occurs in the mature regions of roots and shoots of many plants, particularly that okay, that those produce woody axis and appear later than primary meristem, is called the secondary or lateral meristem. Okay, okay, when you observe the meristem, okay, the meristem that occurs in the mature regions of the root Okay, that means after the complete formation of primary tissues. Okay, next the secondary tissues are developed, which helps in the secondary growth of the plant body. Okay, and it occurs in the later period of the plant, in which the plants will produce a woody axis, that is a strong stems, strong roots, which are very thick and hard, not in the plants with the weak stems or weak roots. Okay, in the plants which are showing okay, woody axis or hard stems and hard roots, in those, okay, we'll find the development of certain tissues during, okay, in the later period of their growth, and these tissues we are calling it as secondary tissues, and the growth we are calling it as secondary growth, and the meristem which is responsible for the development of this secondary tissues or secondary growth, we are calling it as secondary meristem or a lateral meristem. Okay, that is so. Okay, we can see totally there are three different types of meristems: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and a lateral meristem. Okay, the apical meristem and intercalary meristem are fallen into one group, that is the primary meristem, because these two meristems will occur from the early days of development of the plant body and is responsible for the primary growth and the formation of primary tissues in the plant body. Whereas the third, that is the meristem or secondary meristem, is the meristem which is developed in the later period of the development of plant body, in which the plant shows a woody axis. It may be the root or stem. Okay, as it is developed in the later period of the development of the plant body, that's why we are calling it as a lateral meristem or a secondary meristem, because it is responsible for the secondary growth. Okay, and is responsible for the increase in the widthwise, increase in the stem or root in its widthwise, not in lengthwise, in a widthwise. That means the thickness of the stem is increased because of this lateral meristem. So that's why they are cylindrical meristems. Cylindrical, that means okay, in a circular manner, because they are increasing the thickness. Okay, they are cylindrical meristems. Okay, example, fascicular vascular cambium. Okay, fascicular vascular cambium, that means the cambium which is present between the vascular bundles, that is xylem and phloem, that is vascular tissues. Okay, the cambium means here meristem, okay, which has the ability to undergo cell division. That is what we are calling it as a cambium. Cambium which is present in bit, okay, in the vascular bundles, we are calling it as a fascicular vascular cambium. And next, interfascicular cambium. Inter means in between. That means the cambium that is present in between the two vascular bundles. or vascular tissues. The cambium which is present between the two vascular bundles. Okay, if the cambium that is present between the vascular tissues or vascular bundle, we are calling it as interfascicular cambium. Okay, already I told you cambium means meristem, which has the ability to undergo cell division. And the next one is a cork cambium. Okay, that means the cambium which will form the cork. Which will form the cork. Okay, observed in a woody plants. Okay, go to any plant. Okay, we can observe. Okay, the hard outer layer, when you try to remove, okay, the outer layer will comes out in the form of patches. One layer will come. When you try to pull out, okay, the outer layer will comes out. In case of old trees, okay, in the old trees, okay, when you try to remove the outer layer, okay, a thick outer layer will comes out. That is nothing but a cork. And the meristem that is responsible for the formation of this cork, we are calling it as a cork cambium. Okay, that is called cork cambium. So these are all for a secondary meristem or a lateral meristem. That is a cylindrical meristem. Okay, these are all cylindrical meristems. Okay, like a fascicular vascular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and next cork cambium. These are all comes under this secondary meristem or lateral meristem. Okay, these which we'll discuss while we are discussing about secondary growth, this cambium. And next, remember very clearly, okay, we'll come across all these ones in the later. And next, following, okay, sorry, are examples of lateral meristem. These are responsible for producing the secondary tissues, which are responsible for secondary growth in plants. Okay, so we can understand in the plants which are showing secondary growth, in those plants only this lateral meristem is present. In the plants which are showing secondary growth, in those only we'll find this lateral meristems. In the plants which are not showing a secondary growth, in those we don't find this lateral meristem or secondary meristem, because they are responsible for the formation of secondary tissues which are involved in a secondary growth. So that's why those plants which are having woody axis, those plants only will show this lateral meristem. And next, already we told you, okay, in plants we'll find two types of tissues primarily, that is a meristematic tissue and the second one is permanent tissue. So following divisions of cells in both the primary as well as secondary meristems, the newly formed cells become structurally and functionally specialized and lose the ability to divide. Such cells are termed permanent or mature cells and constitute the permanent tissue. Okay, one thing you have to remember here very clearly. Okay, we are saying the shoot apical meristem now. Okay, the cells that are present in the shoot apical meristem will always remain constant. The cell, okay, from the time the plant undergoes germination till it undergoes death, there is no change in the number of meristematic cells in the meristem. Either it is a shoot apical meristem or root apical meristem. But we are saying that the cells are in continuous cell division. Then what happens to the newly formed cells? Okay, that means for suppose there are 10 cells which are undergoing cell division in the meristem. Okay, all these 10 cells will divide and give rise to 20 cells. But out of these 20 cells, only 10 cells will retain the capacity to continue cell division, but the remaining 10 cells will lose the ability to undergo cell division, and they are transformed into some specialized cells, okay, depending upon the requirement of the plant body and the functioning of the plant. And these tissues which has lost the ability to undergo cell division and transformed to perform some specialized functions, okay, that tissue we are calling it as a permanent tissue. Understood? Okay, anybody is having any doubt here? What is a permanent tissue? And the cells that are present in the permanent tissue only we are calling as them as a mature cells. Okay, the reason. So, okay, and these cells they can develop either from the primary meristem or secondary meristem. Okay, because meristem means it will undergo cell division. The cells which will undergo cell division, but if they are present from the early days, we are calling it as a primary meristem, and which has developed in the later period of the plant development, we are calling it as a secondary meristem. So whether it is a primary meristem or secondary meristem, both will produce new cells, but these newly formed cells are lost their ability to divide, and they are transformed to perform some specialized functions, these cells. And such cells we are calling it as permanent or mature cells, are and constitute the permanent tissue. Okay, and all cells together we are calling it as a permanent tissue because they are having some common function. And next, during the formation of primary plant body, specific regions of the system produce dermal tissues, ground tissues, and vascular tissues. Okay, during the formation of the primary plant body, okay, during the formation of the primary plant body, specific regions of the apical meristem produce dermal tissues, ground tissues, and vascular tissues. Okay, meristem produce dermal tissues, ground tissues, and vascular tissues. Okay, next, tissues. Okay, they form dermal tissues, ground tissue, and vascular tissue. Okay, dermal tissues means the tissues which will cover the outer part of the plant body. Ground tissue means all the other tissue other than dermal tissue and vascular tissue that is present inside the plant body other than dermal tissue and vascular tissue, whatever the tissue that is present inside the plant body, that comes under ground tissue. Okay, a dermal tissue means epidermis, and vascular tissues means xylem and phloem. So other than this, that means the epidermis, vascular, okay, the xylem and phloem. Other than this, whatever the tissue that is present inside the plant body, that is hypodermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, medullary rays, pith. All these tissues will comes under the ground tissue. All they comes under the ground tissue. So that is, all these tissues are formed from a primarily from a primary meristem. That is, it may be the apical meristem or a intercalary meristem. Okay, so and next, when you observe these permanent tissues, okay, the permanent tissues are again primarily divided into two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Okay, simple permanent tissue, and the second one is a complex permanent tissue. What is a simple permanent tissue means? A tissue, okay, a permanent tissue which is made up of only one type of cells. So that means a group of cells which are similar in origin and function are grouped to form a simple permanent tissue. Okay, and next, a complex permanent tissue. What is a complex permanent tissue? A tissue which is formed by different types of cells. That means if two or more number of cells are grouped to form a tissue to perform a common function, then such a tissue we are calling it as a complex permanent tissue. So already we said very clearly, okay, the permanent, okay, meristematic tissue means the tissue which will continue to divide, or the cells which has the ability to continue, okay, to divide, we are calling it as meristematic tissue. And the permanent tissue means the tissue which has lost its ability to divide. All those cells together we are calling it as a permanent tissue. That's what we say. The cells of permanent tissue do not generally divide further. So the cells which has lost ability to divide will form the permanent tissues. And next, permanent tissues have all cells similar in structure and function are called simple tissues. That means if a permanent tissue is having only one type of cells which are similar in structure and function, and such cells we are calling it as a simple permanent tissues. And the permanent tissues having many different types of cells are called complex. If two or more different types of cells are grouped to perform a common function, then such a permanent tissue we are calling it as a complex permanent tissue. Okay, complex permanent tissue. And next, when it comes to the simple tissues, already we said very clearly, simple tissues are the cells which are a group of tissues which consists of only one type of cells with a common structure and function. So a simple tissue is made up of only one type of cells. The various simple tissues in plants are parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay, there are three major types of simple permanent tissues. The first one is a parenchyma, second one is a collenchyma, and the third one is a sclerenchyma. Already you might have studied some information related to these simple tissues while you are studying in your lower classes. I think in ninth class, I think so, you'll come across. Ninth class or 10th class. Okay, in your lower class, you might have got some idea related to these tissues. Okay, parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Okay, first we'll go with the parenchyma. Okay, parenchyma. Parenchyma forms the major component within organs. Okay, the parenchyma is the major type of tissue among the living tissues in case of plant. Okay, and one thing you have to remember, ma, in plants, we find both living as well as dead tissues. That means we'll find both living cells as well as the dead cells. A plant body consists of both living cells and dead cells. Both are having equal importance. Both the cells are having a equal importance. Okay, we can understand in the later period of time. Okay, as we go on. So among the living tissue, which is the major type of living tissue means, so that is the parenchyma. Okay, it occupies the major part of the plant body of the living tissue. So parenchyma forms the major component within organs. Okay, the cells of the parenchyma are generally isodiametric. Okay, they are isodiametric, round or oval or spherical or rectangular. So they are showing equal surfaces. That's okay because they are usually living. So that's why they are generally isodiametric. They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated in shape. Because okay, because of this, we are saying that they are isodiametric. Okay, and next, their walls are thin and made up of cellulose. Okay, the cell walls are thin. The cell walls are thin and it is made up of cellulose. Okay, the primary character of plant cells. Okay, cellulosic cell walls. Okay, they are thin and made up of cellulose. And next, they may either be closely packed or have small intercellular spaces. Okay, when you observe this parenchymal cells, okay, are the cells that are present in the parenchyma, either they are very closely placed without any intercellular space, or in some cases they are having a large intercellular spaces also. Okay, that is they may either be closely packed or have small intercellular spaces. Okay, that is. And next, the parenchyma performs various functions like photosynthesis, storage, and secretion. Okay, photosynthesis. Okay, that is the parenchyma which possesses chloroplast. Okay, when you observe the leaf, in the leaf we can observe the parenchymal cells. They possess a large number of chloroplasts and they perform photosynthesis. And next, in the storage regions, okay, the parenchyma will store food material. For example, when you observe the potato, we are eating the potato, no. Okay, we are eating. Okay, when you are eating potato, you are nothing but eating parenchymal cells only. Okay, the potato is completely made up of parenchymal cells which are storing food material. They are completely parenchymal cells, no other cells. Potato. Okay, they're involved in storage parenchyma, and involved in secretion. Okay, they secrete certain substances like latex, resins. Okay, like this. Okay, that means the different chemical components are stored and they are secreted. Okay, and some parenchyma will store air, that is called aerenchyma. That is okay, such parenchyma we call it as a aerenchyma. Okay, this aerenchyma is observed in aquatic plants, which helps the aquatic plants to float in the water or on the surface of water. Okay, such a parenchyma we are calling it as a aerenchyma. Okay, some parenchyma stores food material, some will store water. In case of xerophytic plants, that means the plants which will grow in deserts where water scarcity is there. So to reduce the water loss by transpiration, what happens? They store water inside the parenchyma. That is storage parenchyma. In case of xerophytic plants, we can observe. Okay, the stems or leaves will be very thick because of the storage of food material. So this parenchyma are showing a different ways. Okay, this is the living tissue parenchyma, and it is present in the major organs and a major part of the living tissue. This parenchyma. And next, the cells of the parenchyma are generally isodiametric. That means they are usually of equal size. Okay, that is they are round or oval or spherical or polygonal or elongated. Okay, and next, generally they possess no intercellular spaces. That means we don't find gap in between the cells. For example, if you observe the epidermis, okay, the epidermal cells are very closely associated without any intercellular. But when you observe the parenchymal cells that are present in the cortex or medullary rays or pith, we can observe some intercellular space between the cells. And even if you observe the leaf, in the mesophyll of leaf, we'll find the parenchyma cells, okay, with intercellular spaces. Okay, in the the mesophyll cells are a little bit elongated, you can see. Okay, and they are consisting of a thin cell wall. They consist of a thin cell wall. Okay, that means they possess a thin cell wall, which is okay, and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. That's why they are very thin and flexible. And next, okay, usually they perform different functions, like they help in photosynthesis. Okay, because these are living cells, no, so they help in storage of food material and they help in the secretion of certain substances. Okay, like this. That is about this parenchyma. Anybody is having any doubt?
No, sir.